What's up developers, it's Dari here and welcome back to a new video where we're going to continue on with the 9th episode of this series where we're going to have a look at how we can customize the FilamentPHP navigation. Honestly, looking at the Navbar right now, I would be completely fine leaving it as it is because you can configure quite a lot through the navigation group, navigation sort and navigation icon properties. But FilamentPHP offers tons of more configurations that you can set. Now let's have a look at the most important ones. Let's navigate back to PHP Storm, and let's close off our admin panel provider, and let's work inside our product resource. Right here, I want to overwrite a new property named protected static string, where the name is activeNavigationIcon, which allows you to overwrite the default icon for the current navigation item in the navbar. So let's set the value equal to hero icon -o-check-badge. If we navigate back to the browser and refresh it, you will see that the active badge in front of products right here has been changed to the check badge. If we click on another tab, you will see that the value from our navigation icon property will be used again. Now this isn't a feature that I want to use, so let's remove it and continue on. The next feature is one that I always use when building admin panels, and that's the use of badges. Badges in admin panel menus are small visual indicators that provide additional information about a menu item. They are typically used to display the count of items that require attention, such as the number of unread messages or the number of incomplete tasks. Badges can be useful because they quickly draw the user's attention to important information and can help them to prioritize their tasks. In FilamentPHP, we need to overwrite the public static function named getNavigationBadge. Let's type int it to a optional string, and then right inside of our method, we're simply going to return a string of, let's say, new. If we navigate back to the browser and refresh it, you will see that we have added a pretty cool badge right next to the products tab named new. Now you could even perform queries right here. So let's navigate back to PHP Storm, where we're going to remove our string. We're then going to make a static call to the getModel method, which will return the model associated with this class, which will be the product model. And then we're going to add the count method to it, which will basically count all the products that we have. So once we navigate back to Google Chrome and refresh it, you will see that the badge has been changed to 1, which is pretty useful. Now I want to add another badge, but this one will be for the orders tab. So let's open our order resource, and right below our navigation group, we're going to define a public static function named getNavigationBadge. We're going to type into it to an optional string. Alright, and right here, we're simply going to return the static getModel again. But instead of counting it, we're going to add a where clause, and then we're going to count it. And inside the where clause, we're going to check where the status is equal to processing, which will basically add the count of the orders that are currently being processed, because it doesn't really make sense to add the count of the completed orders. So once we navigate to the browser and refresh it, you will see that the count is currently 0. And if we click on it, you'll see that it is true because we have no orders. The second method I want to cover is quite suiting for the orders tab as well, which is the, let's go right below of it, public static function named getNavigationBadgeColor. We're going to type into it to an optional string as well. Now this method is used to set the color of the badge next to the navigation item. It does not change the actual content, but simply the color of it. So let's say that if there are more than 10 orders being processed, the color of the badge needs to be changed to red because there are simply too many. If it's less, we're simply going to keep the primary color as it is. So let's say return static ::getModel ::where, and let's change the count method to it. Let's define the where clause real quick, where the status is equal to processing. If the count is greater than 10, on the line below, add a ternary operator of, let's say, the warning badge. and else add the primary badge. Pretty cool customization, right? Let's navigate back to Google Chrome and refresh it. And right here, you'll see that we have less than 10 orders. So the primary color has been printed out. But if we navigate back and change greater than to less than, refresh it, you'll see that the primary color has been changed to warning, which is a yellow color. Now, for now, let's make it greater than again. All right. Now, the next configuration is pretty cool as well, and that's collapsing the sidebar. Allowing users to collapse the sidebar in an admin panel can be useful because it gives them more screen to focus on the content they are working on. And it's actually pretty simple to do so because we need to configure it inside our admin panel provider. So let's say right below our global search key bindings, we're going to change the sidebar collapsible on desktop method. If we navigate to the browser and refresh it, you will see that we have the option to collapse the sidebar right here, which is pretty cool. Once we click on it, you will see that the sidebar has been collapsed. You could even make the collapse menu your default one by simply chaining the sidebar fully collapsible on desktop method to it. But whenever you want to make it work, you simply need to delete the sidebar collapsible on desktop method. Once we refresh it, you will see that our menu has been fully collapsed. I'm not a fan of it, so let's delete it and let's move on. Now the sidebar has currently been built up based on links that have been defined within our application. FilamentPHP allows you to add external links to it as well, which is pretty cool. External links needs to be added inside the admin service provider, where you need to chain the navigation items method to it. Right here, we need to pass in an array where we need to define a navigation item, and make. In the make method, we need to pass in the name of our navigation item. So let's say blog. Then on the navigation item, you have tons of methods that you can chain on. And we're going to start off with the URL methods, which speaks for itself because you simply need to pass in the URL where you want to navigate to. So let's say https://blog.codewithdari.com, where we could add a second argument of should open in a new tab, where we need to set the value equal to true. We could also define an icon. So let's chain the icon method to it, where we need to pass in a hero icon of, let's say, -O, -pencil, -square. You could even group it just like the shop group. So let's say that we want to group it in a tab named external. And we can even sort it, which will sort the entire group. And I want to sort it right after the shop group. So right here, we can give it a sort of, let's say, 2. Once we navigate to the browser and refresh it, you will see that it has added a complete new group named external with my blog inside of it. Now, FilamentPHP also allows you to conditionally hide and show navigation items. This only works when you define gates. We haven't done that, so let me quickly show you how the code works that actually won't work. So let's navigate back to our navigation item right here. Now let's chain the visible method to it, which is used to conditionally show or hide a navigation item based on a Boolean value. In here, we're going to pass in an anonymous function through the fn method. We're going to define a colon bool right here, which is determined by the result of a callback function, which will check if the authenticated user has permission to view the navigation item. Then we're going to set the value, which will be through the auth method. We're going to grab the user, and we're going to chain the can method, which is used to check if the user has a specific permission. And in this case, we're going to check the view permission, which we haven't defined. So once we navigate back to Google Chrome and refresh it, you will see that external has been removed. But if we navigate back, you can even replace the visible method with the hidden method, which will do the opposite. Let's remove the entire line because we don't need it anymore. Now let's say that you don't want to show the categories tab inside the sidebar. This needs to be defined on a specific resource. So let's navigate back to PHPStorm. Let's open the category resource where we need to define a new property. So let's say protected, static, bool, named should, register, navigation, which has a default value of true because it's obviously visible. So we need to set it equal to false. Once we navigate to Google Chrome and refresh it, you will see that the categories tab has been deleted. Now let's navigate back and delete it. All right. Now let's say that you want to add a navigation item, but you don't want to add them in the left side panel because it belongs to a specific user. And you simply want to add it right under the user icon in the top right corner. To do so, we need to navigate back to our admin service provider where we need to change the user menu items method. Right here, we need to pass in an array with items that we want to add. So let's say menu item, make. Let's add a label to it, which will be, let's say, settings. I don't have a URL right now, so let's add an empty string. Now let's change the icon method, which will be hero icon -o-cog -6-toot. Once we navigate to the browser and refresh it, click on CD in the top right corner, and right here, you will see that we have added a new menu item named settings. You could even customize the text of the sign out button. So let's navigate back to PHPStorm, and right after our icon, add a comma and say a logout for the menu item, make a new label named a logout. Let's navigate back and refresh it, where you will see that sign out has been replaced with logout. Now the final configuration I would like to show you is disabling the breadcrumbs. Right above the resource name, you will always find the breadcrumb, and even when you click on new order. Right here, you will see orders and then create. Now you can simply disable this using the breadcrumbs method on your panel object. So right here, let's say breadcrumbs. All right. We need to pass in a Boolean value. The breadcrumbs are obviously shown by default, which means that true is the default value right here. And to disable it, we simply need to pass in false. If we navigate back to the browser and refresh it, you will see that the breadcrumbs have been disabled. But I love the breadcrumbs, so let's navigate back and let's delete the breadcrumbs method. For now, I want to wrap up this video where we have looked at the different configurations of the navigation in FilamentPHP. This was it for today's video. If you enjoyed the content and you want to see more, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.